Here are some more sketches I've done for my Fantastic Beasts sketchbook, drawn on Bristol paper. I'll be starting with this sketch of my Slytherin wizard holding one of his many Nifflers. I think I should include more drawings of my character from Hogwarts Legacy with the Fantastic Beasts from the game. I am using my gouache paint still, the lower quality ones. I gave my character this uniform in the game, so it's full green, and he wears also a green scarf, just in case there's any doubt if he's a Slytherin. I called him Miguel Funebres. In my mind, he's from Spain. Anyway, I started this painting with the green color. You can tell on the strokes of paint how it struggles to cover the paper. I still want to make this paint work somehow, so I'll end up using some mixed media in the end. In the game there's also different colors of Nifflers. I chose the standard purple. They are very cute, especially in the Fantastic Beasts movie. But in the game you can capture all sorts of colors, and they have the babies too. But I chose to paint the regular one. My character is meant to be very pale, so I was thinking of doing that technique I like, of leaving the main skin color as the white of the paper. But I kind of messed up the coloring, so I ended up painting most of the skin tone anyway. It still reads as pale though, at least in my opinion. And my problem was that I didn't really think about the planning of the shadows. Before I paint, I should always have an idea of where the light is coming from, and I should use that to plan where the shadows are going to be. But instead, I just jumped into the painting without thinking about it. It's just something to be more aware of in the future. I managed to cover more the grain in the end, but I still chose to use some color pencils for the details, and to add some extra color to his skin. Overall, I think it's a cute sketch, and I think this is one of those that I can turn into an illustration on digital and it will look very cute. I just really enjoyed drawing the pudgy Niffler from behind, showing the fat cheek next to the beak. But I should have worked on that hand much more. If I could, I would just completely paint over it and repaint it. But it's just for one of my sketchbooks, so I don't think it's a big deal if I leave that mistake in. The next sketch is a Thestral, my favorite. So dark and so macabre. There are two colors of Thestrals in this Harry Potter video game. The first is the dark one, like dark purple, the regular one. And then there's a light one that's like a sickly pale color with stringy hair strands on the mane. I like that look more because it's creepier. I also hadn't painted that variation before. All the Thestrals I had painted for this sketchbook so far have been the regular dark ones, I think. I started with a pale green color for this one, and I extended that green onto his skin because I think it's the kind of sickly green that works well to portray an unhealthy pale color. Afterwards, I used some purple grey for the shadows. And for the midtones, I went with a grey-green to continue the sickly look. Maybe I added too much red on the shadow area. It still reads as a pale one. I didn't make his color as dark as if he had been a dark Thestral. But maybe I should have picked another color for the shadows. When I was painting this portrait, I, for some reason, decided to use the brush to add some of the gouache in a hatching way. I think it helped a lot in giving it a textured look, especially with these paints. I think it's cool that you can find a way to work around them. For the background, I tried adding more green pigment. I was hoping that with layering I could cover the paper better, but it doesn't really work out that well. I just left it at that. I think as a sketch it looks good, especially the textured hatching I did with the gouache on its face. I did some small line work with color pencils, but I didn't record that part. You can see it clearly in some places though, like around his horn, for example. Okay, so the next sketch. This is a dragon's skull. It's in one of the swamps in the game. There is a gigantic dragon skeleton on the area. There's like the skull and the ribcage of a gigantic dragon. There are dragons in the game too, but you can't really own one or fly around in one. I still wanted to include this skull in my Fantastic Beasts sketchbook though. Also, it's located in one of the areas where the Thestrals like to hang out. It's this dark and eerie swamp. It's very mysterious and inspiring to me. At first I added some shadows with dark blue since I wanted to capture that mysterious look, but I ruined it when I added the green. It was just too saturated for what I wanted to go for. Especially on top of the skull, the green was so bright, it looked more like a sunny grass field green. I kept to the blues I had planned for the skull. I darkened the shadows first so I wouldn't lose the shape of the skull with all the paint. Overall, it was just a bad choice of colors, or a bad mix of colors. Like, you can see the blue is too saturated on the horns as well. It was just bad planning, and to avoid this problem, I should have started with a blue underpainting to make sure it all stayed within the same blues. Anyway, I kept trying to go with these colors and I wanted to get the skull painted in first. I tried to salvage it by adding a blue glaze on top of the green, but I think it was too late. It made it slightly better, but the saturated green is still visible, so I just gave up and decided to detail what I could on the skull and then paint some grass details around it. For some line work details at the end, I used the color pencils. I also tried to add some sketchy details like hatching to some of the shadow parts. I thought that adding some textures could help make this sketch look a bit nicer. And while I think it helps, it's just not one of my favorite sketches at all. Here's another Thestral sketch. This time I started with the background color and I added more blue to the green. Trying not to make the same mistake as the previous sketch. I am painting him in dark purple. This one will be like one of the regular Thestrals. I think maybe I got confused with the reference. I thought that the only Thestrals with hair were the pale white ones, but I included some hair on this one. Maybe I got confused and painted him in purple by mistake. Oh well, as long as it looks good, it will be fine in the end. I should have added some more purple color variations on him, because it's looking a bit flat. Still, since the purple paint covers better than the green, it was nicer to do a bit of different values on his skin. In the end, I just used the gouache more as a base color, and I switched to the color pencils. I emphasized some of the hair strands with the white color pencil. Although it doesn't make a very opaque white, it still worked out for the mane. It makes for some nice wispy hair details. I used the color pencils to add line work details and also hatching details for some parts in the shadows. I think using the black turned out really nice. Those extra hatching details give it a creepier, darker look. I tried to darken the background with more green paint. I went with a darker green this time. I tried to focus on doing strokes to add texture to the background. I wasn't going for a solid color. And with the texture, I was trying to imply some vegetation details behind the Thestral. I didn't cover it entirely, I left some part below the Thestral in the same color as the previous background. With the contrast with the new green, it comes across as line work. I like the look, it makes it look more like a graphic style, like a cartoon style for example, with the lines around it. And here we have the final sketch of this video, another Thestral. This one will be one of the pale Thestrals. I started with a green background. I feel like I should avoid these greens, but I was going for that pale look and I thought it would help me in this sketch. I added some blue-grey underpainting to this Thestral this time, and it wasn't working out too well. Luckily, I did end up using the background color on the animal, as a glaze as well. It made it more cohesive. And I added some black to do that grey-green mid-tone. I started doing the details with the gouache using a darker value. The strokes were looking very sketchy since the paints don't cover well the paper, so I decided to commit to the sketchiness of this one by doing very rough line works with the gouache. I did end up adding a bit more medium values, but most of the sketch is carried by the line work, otherwise it would look like an unfinished mess of paint. And I also added some hatching with color pencils. This one is very rough, but I still like it. Here are all the sketches I did in this video together and finished. And here they are after I have added them to my Fantastic Beasts sketchbook. I would say the one with my character and the two sketches of the pale Thestrals are my favorites here.